While many are celebrating President Obama's recent reforms to immigration law, and they should, there are many good things involved in there, he does not have a stellar reputation when it comes to deportations. And in fact, over the past few years, he has deported record numbers of, they say, illegal immigrants. But Jorge Ramos decided on Fusion this week to take him to task for those deportations, and it got a little bit heated.
As you're saying, you always had the legal authority to stop deportations. Then why did you deport 2 million people?
Jorge, we're not going to.
For 6 years you did it. You
listen, Jorge.
Many families.
Jorge,
deported in chief.
you called me deported in chief. I did not. But let me say this, Jorge.
But you could have stopped that.
No. That is not true. Listen, here's the fact of the matter.
You could have stopped that.
Jorge, here's the fact of the matter. As President of the United States, I'm always responsible for problems that aren't solved right away. Those, like you sometimes, Jorge, who suggest that there are simple, quick answers to these problems. I think no, yes, you do, because that's how you present it. And I think when you present it in that way, it does a disservice, because it makes the assumption that the political process is one that can easily be moved around depending on the will of one person, and that's not how things work.
Yeah. Theoretically, that's how things could work if you decided to use your massive influence to actually try to influence people, at least in your own party,
and it's
in the
not
Senate
the
or the
will
House.
of one person. It's not the will of one person. It's the will of all the people who voted for him.
It could be the effort of one person.
Right.
If he were to try to push for something that the American people actually want, he requires basically 99% approval on an issue for him to get up out of his chair and make some phone calls, it seems like, on most issues at least. Now, of course, as we pointed out when they announced the reforms to immigration law, there are some good things in there. Millions of people will be protected from deportation for a few years at least. Although in 3 or 4 years, if you have a President Ted Cruz, then maybe they use the information from President Obama's reforms to track down and then deport the people who had signed up under the program this year. So it inherently has a number of huge disadvantages in it. And I think that Jorge Ramos is right to point out that if you say that you have the authority to do this now, you haven't pointed out any way that you didn't have the authority 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. And in that time, you have deported well over 1 million people. Why didn't you do the same exact thing back then?
And destroy countless families.
Oh, yeah.
Countless families. It's unbelievable to me that he would do that. And it's one of the things that I think the Democrats have been just awful at. Just awful. I mean, on the issue of immigration reform, they have been terrible. They're so cowed by the corporate interests and by the Republicans. And to George Bush's credit, he tried to get a comprehensive immigration done, and he was opposed by his own party. But Obama, I mean, you're right. Why didn't he do this 2 years ago? Why didn't he do this 3 years ago? What was the point of deporting all those families? What political favors did it win you? It won you nothing. Nothing at all. The people who hated you still hate you, and you basically screwed over your entire base, or a big chunk of your base, by deporting them and destroying families.
Yeah,
so
or showing that you don't care about the openly stated demands or desires of that community. I mean, they made clear that they want immigration reform. They don't necessarily expect you to deliver everything, but they do expect you to at least try. And it seems to that community, or at least from the results of the last election, it seemed as if he wasn't really doing anything. And I don't believe, you use the word cowed, and I think that's the exact right word. I don't think that he has any interest in deporting these people, however many hundreds of thousands per year. But we showed you the chart, I believe, last week. The numbers have been going up every single year, more and more people being deported, and the percentage being deported that received no hearing whatsoever has gone up as well. It's over 80% now. You're being deported without any judicial intervention, any hearing into your rights or anything like that.
He's getting pushed around.
And he's doing it because he's scared.
Yeah, he's getting pushed around by the bullies, okay? Because, I mean, look, I don't think he's a bad person, okay? I mean, if it was totally up to him, he wouldn't deport people. But if he didn't deport people, then he'd be deemed weak, and he loves illegals, and he's a bad guy. And that's why he's doing it. He's letting the system and he's letting the bullies bully him around. Why doesn't he just take a stand and say, you know what, I am not going to deport all these people. I'm not going to destroy families. The immigration system is entirely broken. We need to fix it. And for those who really cry about illegal immigrants, they should really go after businesses. But they don't.
They don't want to.
It's a little hint and a wink, because they want the cheap labor. They do, but they want to have it both ways.
Yeah.
And this is the aspect of Obama that really disappoints me. I mean, he can't take a strong stand on anything. he's constantly trying to build consensus and doing it on a time frame that doesn't exist. He's never going to get the consensus from the Republicans, ever, which is why he finally gave up and said, I'm going to just do it.
It seems like it stretches further. We talk about roots of problems, what happened. Like, the money in politics is the reason why a lot of things happen with the way politicians are beholden to their rich donors and campaign spenders. So in this case, it's just a matter of tone of perception and the way that Democrats don't know how to consistently fight back against all of the negative things said. There's the fear, and then there's perception about who these people are in our country. Oh my God, you know what they're doing? There's crime and there's this, and none of that is true. So it'd be an everyday task for not just Obama, because by the way, you need the rest of the Democratic Party who is weak with their tone and the way they respond to these types of threats. It's just kind of sits back and you're a little afraid to do it because of what it may look like. Yeah. We talked just a second ago about one of the provisions adding 4 new F-35s, I think it was.
Yeah.
But if you say, no, we're not going to do that, it turns out you're weak on national security. You know what ISIS is doing right now? And the F-35s have nothing to do with what we're doing with ISIS or what ISIS is trying to do with us.
No, JR, ISIS canceled major attacks when they saw that we'd added those 4 non-functional F-35s.
Yeah, so you have to fight these micro arguments. And as the president, you're going to come and fight the micro argument and say, hey, you know, we just added 4 F-35s, and you know ISIS isn't actually doing that, and it goes through all these small arguments. The Republicans have a collective stupidity like wave going to tell everyone misinformation about what's actually happening, and to fight back against all that is a constant task. Maybe there needs to be some kind of section in the administration that fights these things back. I don't know, but it's a never-ending job.
Yeah.
It's a daunting task.